is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Hello and welcome to another episode of Ruel's Running Podcast. I'm your host, Ruel. What is up, y'all? How's everybody doing? Nope, not cold, just needed to let that out. It's my raspberry meditation. I don't know what the hell it means. Yeah, if you are a new listener, welcome to the podcast. I promise it's going to be no stress. It's going to be nothing that's going to require you to study. There's no exam at the end of the episode. If you are a return listener, what's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm on the road again. It's just, for some reason, when I'm driving by myself, I'm more able to, I can't imagine sitting down at a desk with a mic doing this. I don't know, but it is what it is. Got a little thing of gum in my mouth. Yeah, so let's get into it. All right. Starting off with, guess. Anybody want to guess? What's cooking? What's cooking, y'all? You know, the last thing that I put together, and I've done it before, is pork belly. Pork belly. Pork belly. I gotta say it 3 times. Pork belly. But what about the pork belly? What do you do with it? I basically kind of roast it. Kinda. I say kinda because I don't get the pork belly cut and stick it on a roaster right away. What I do is, and this is going to be helpful for my friend Percival. He wanted to know, Perce, you wanted to know what fry oil to use, in all seriousness. And I did mention, stay away from seed oil, corn oil, vegetable oil. So I imagine then you're wondering, well, that's all I see at the grocery store, you know. And if you're not recommending I use those, what can I use? And the reason why I brought this up is because I use pork lard. No, not the lard that you buy at the store that's really vegetable shortening, which is vegetable oil, basically. It's the rendered fat from the pork meat that I prepare. So how do I prepare it? Well, this is how I prepare it. I'll get a slab of pork belly. Well, technically it isn't a slab. At one point in time it was a slab, but our local Costco sells the pork belly, and they are in nice pork belly strips. Nice, thick and hearty. They're like, I don't know, 8 inches long strips, maybe like 2 inches in varying heights, and about an inch and a half in width. So pretty good hearty strips, and there's about, I think, 6 of them, 6 or 8, I can't remember the count. So I get those at Costco, and I cut them into smaller lengths, and I had to prepare them a certain way, meaning not seasoning or anything, just I wrap them for the most part, except the top. I leave the tops open in foil, in aluminum foil or aluminium foil. So I'll have these little aluminium, these tin foil trays with these pork belly cuts in them. So at this point, they're like, they're like 4 inches, 5 inches in length now. So I'll have several of these prepared, and I will place them in a Instant Pot. We have 3 Instant Pots. We have this massive one and this sort of average size one, and then we have this like cute one. I don't know what the measurements are in quarts and whatnot. Oh well. I call them Maui, Moana, and Hey Hey. Those are the Instant Pots. So we have this big old Instant Pot, and I can do it in the medium. I can do it in the Moana sized Instant Pot. But I'll take these little trays of pork belly, put them in an Instant Pot with about a cup of water in it, and I'll pressure cook that stuff for about 60 minutes. Right? And then once it's done, I'll obviously if it's pressure cooked, there is a seal. So once the cooking is done, I'll turn the vent. I'll help it depressurize quicker. And if you have an Instant Pot but you've never used it before, you've got to be careful. You got to really look into how to handle the Instant Pot and the pressurization and how you're able to unlock the thing. When it's pressurized. The way it works is you're not supposed to force open your Instant Pot when there's a large amount of pressure in there. Okay. So yeah. So I'll depressurize the thing, and all of the meat, all of the pork belly pieces are still sitting in their foil trays, swimming in fatty goodness, water and liquefied fat, basically. And the reason why I have them in foil trays is after I pressure cook those suckers, they're super tender. They're tender, not tendy. They're super tender. They're super tender, and when you pick them up, I pick them up with a pair of tongs. I have to pick them up carefully so that I don't cause them to fall apart. So the foil trays sort of help keep them together. So I'll pick a piece up with a tong. I just grab it on each side of its width, if that even makes any sense, and I will drain out the liquid back into the Instant Pot, and I'll do this for every piece, right? It literally is fine to eat right now, fine to consume. It's cooked. It's super tender. It's so good. But that's not its destiny at this point in time. What I'll do is I have these Cuisinart toaster ovens with a air fryer setting. It's a nice rectangular basket, which is the perfect size to fit all of those pork belly pieces completely. So I'll carefully remove the pork belly pieces, leave them in their foil trays, turn them off to the side to sort of drain all of that liquid. Each one of those drained trays of pork belly goodness is then carefully positioned in this basket that I have. So If you have an air fryer, figure it out yourself, how that's supposed to work out, right? But for my situation, it fits in the basket, one single layer. I'm not stacking anything. Meanwhile, they may have been stacked in the pressure cooker, which is fine. The foil keeps the skin from sticking onto another piece and whatnot, as long as you're handling the extraction of the pork belly sort of quickly and not allowing the Instant Pot to cool, because once it's cooled, then you may risk having some of the skin stick to the bottom of another piece. So yeah, I love it. This is the new listeners are tuning in and they're like, I thought I was listening to a running podcast. Talking about cooking pork belly. Gross. I'm not even a meat eater. So yeah, everything's on the basket for the air fryer, and I'll pop it in the air fryer. I'll get some very coarse salt, and I'll sprinkle it all over the top of that really soft pork belly skin, and then I'll stick it in the air fryer, 350 degrees for 20 minutes. Right? You get it kind of brown and a little bit of crisp, not a whole lot, but there's good texture, and the rest of the pork belly is moist and tender. But that's not all. After 20 minutes, you could do it for another 10 minutes and get it a little bit more brown. There's different levels of flavor and deliciousness. Like if you just go at 20, I mean, to be honest, you go straight out of the Instant Pot, it's delicious. Then you stick it in the air fryer for 20 minutes, it's delicious. Stick it in there for another 10 minutes, it's delicious. And it's delicious in a different way. Obviously, you get things a little bit more crisper, you start to dry things out. And here's the beauty, right? When that's all done, 20, 30 minutes of air frying, remember those pieces of pork belly are sitting in their little foil trays. So when at least when I bring it out, I then have to carefully hold it with the tongs and then dump out the pork fat, the liquefied pork fat that's sitting inside the foil tray, sort of like deep frying some of that pork in its own little tray in the air fryer. Isn't that amazing? So I have a jar, I have a mason jar, and I'll pick up the pork bellies from the air fryer, and I'll drain the fat into the jar, and I'll save that fat. Save that fat for cooking. Yummy. And then back to the pork belly. I'll peel away the foil. I'll put the piece of pork belly onto a cutting board, slice it into pieces, add more salt, maybe some black pepper. Yummy. And that's not all. Maybe you want it even more crispier, kind of like on the side of cracklins, but with meat, and you want to sort of dry it out a bit more because you're more like you kind of like it on the drier side. After you've cut it, put it on put it in the air fryer for another 10 minutes at 350. And you keep doing that until it gets to the right crispness, and it's oh so good. But that's not all. While you're enjoying all of that, back at the Instant Pot, you got all this liquid in that pot of water that's pulled from the meat, as well as the fat that's liquefied, that's pulled from the meat, and the cup of water that you had put there to begin with. So what I'll do is I'll allow that pot to sort of get to room temp, and then I'll put the pot, not the whole Instant Pot, just the liner, the metal actual pot insert that goes in the Instant Pot, I'll put that in the fridge, and I'll allow that fat to cool and solidify, right? And if you're living in an area that's already cold, you don't have to stick it in the refrigerator. Just give it some time and out on the counter, and it'll solidify. Then what I'll do is I'll drain the water as all the fat solidifies and rises to the top. I'll be able to carefully drain the water, and for the most part, have just the solidified pork fat or the lard, and I can stick that in a mason jar. I'll stick it in a plastic container, and I'll stick it in the freezer, and I'll have more lard to work with. That yields the most lard versus, drippings from the foil trays. So first of all, you want to know what to use to fry in. As long as you stay away from those other ones, try to get yourself and save yourself, your pork fat. And if you're into beef, even better. If you can get fattier cuts of beef and somehow render that fat into for beef it's called tallow. Any one of those, a combination if you want. Cook with those. And then, Percival's like me. He's Filipino. We have the same background. And, things that he'll be interested in frying from a Filipino standpoint are like lumpia. They're basically the Filipino-style egg rolls, right? So you're wondering, Percival, I'm going to fry lumpia in animal fat? I'm like, yes! Oh my God, absolutely! It's going to make it more delicious. Or maybe he's thinking, I want to fry some fish. You know how we are. We like fried fish. Like, dude, again, use your animal fat. It adds more flavor to it. I've done it. And for me at this stage, if I'm sitting in front of a plate of food that's fried and I know there's no way that it was cooked any other way but in vegetable oil, corn oil, vegetable, whatever, I'm not going to eat it. I just, if I have alternatives, I'm definitely going to find an alternative. If I'm hungry and all there are French fries from some fast food place, I'm not going to do that because I just imagine, getting inflammation from it. I just imagine it being basically toxic for me, and who knows what it's going to do to me hormonally or sort of, and how that's going to impact me psychologically. Who knows? I'll be like, suddenly I want to eat more junk food, and then I'm down this spiral of eating crap. I'm liking where I'm at now. Made a nutritional shift about almost a month in. Right, I'm measuring my weight on the scale just to sort of see what my body's doing as I've pretty much cut carbs. I've never was much of a sugar guy. But even the healthy carbs I've kind of slowed down on because I was overdoing it. But I've been, avoiding the rice. And for a long time I've been, I should be able to handle rice. And it's true. I was able to handle rice. As, back in 2012, my first sort of significant nutritional shift, NSNG, LCHF, Bantam, and then later on, it became popular, ketogenic, all that stuff. I was still able to improve my health, my body composition, and still enjoy white steamed rice the way that my culture has, right? Until no longer. couple decades older, and I've put my body and my psyche through the trials over that time, and now I'm just not tolerating it well. And the reality is, first of all, if you're still listening, is when they say, well, I'm Asian, I'm supposed to eat rice. You're like, yeah, as a general sort of identity and culture, sure. Then you start you need to pay attention to things at an individual level at some point. Like my kids, dude, they can pound the rice the way I used to pound the rice when I was freaking younger. But now, I'm 51, I pound that rice. You know, I'm going to go to take a nap afterwards. I'm going to start getting, putting on weight. You know, my blood sugar is going to be, kind of on normal at a high level. And the last thing you want is, type 2 diabetes, right? And all of the nonsense that comes with having to deal with that, right? The nonsense of, I don't know, it's in there. There's nonsense in there. Type 2 diabetes isn't a gift. Although I imagine that there are folks my age and older who walk around thinking like, this is normal. I'm supposed to be this way. As long as I take medication, I'll be able to be fine. But you're not. You're on a path to destroying yourself. Take that. And I'm not a doctor. I don't have to be a doctor and I don't have to be a nutritionist to tell people or make recommendations on what people should eat, because who the hell are nutritionists anyways? Were they there at the beginning of humankind? Oh, like I'm one of the first humans on the planet. Like, I don't know what to eat. I don't know what to eat. We need a nutritionist. We need a nutritionist in the village. And then, boom, nutritionist shows up. Okay, everybody, I'm here. I'll tell you what to eat. Yeah. You need a nutritionist to tell me what to eat. As a human, as an animal, I'm responsible for my own food. I don't have to wait for someone to tell me what to eat. And doctors too, they shouldn't be telling you what to eat. Look it up. Why are they qualified to tell you what to eat? Because a registered dietitian tells them what they should tell patients what to eat. And a registered dietitian is just another nutritionist. Right? Heaven's sakes. It's like, I can't take a dump unless I go to take a dumpatist specialist. Right? I'm just going to hold on to my shit till someone can tell me how to take a dump. It's a human thing to eat. It's a human thing. It's take a dump. It's an animal thing to eat, and it's an animal thing to take a dump. And I need any specialist to tell me how to do it. Right? It's your responsibility to figure out what you need to eat. And if you can get your head kind of listening, the possibility that that's what you've been doing all along might not be right for you, you gotta figure that out, right? It's like, for a long time, after I sort of let myself go, even before the pandemic, even before COVID, I was already kind of like, I was riding the success of whatever that first significant nutritional shift. I was down in my size and I was feeling healthy. I felt like I knew what I needed to do. And then I just sort of like got really I didn't care. I really didn't care. And I drank more alcohol, right? And then after several years, then it started to present itself like, okay, I'm putting on some weight. Okay. I'm not as fit as I used to be. Okay. God, I'm drinking more alcohol than I ought to. Okay. why does my skin feel inflamed? Oh, why is my ring tighter? Oh, why do I feel like I'm losing hair? Like, oh gosh, I'm snoring now? What? Oh God, I can't lay down comfortably without my abdomen hurting. You know, my clothes don't fit the way I used to do. Oh, it has nothing to do with the dryer. I know, I'm out of shape. I'm basically chunking up, right? I mean, be honest with it. Yeah, because there's nothing that I'm doing that's helping me get away from all of those clues, those signs, those symptoms, right? Right? And even though I knew it, I was still kind of like, I don't give a shit, right? I don't care. And then, you know, I get older, and I kind of, something happens. The light bulb turns on, and then I'm able to care about now what's happened to me and what do I really want to do at this point. You know, I could have been told it, or the idea of making or reshifting could have happened the day before. I wouldn't have paid attention. You know, just for whatever. There was a moment in time, almost a year ago, you know, and it could have been a combination of things. My brother-in-law passed away past June, right? A reminder about, shoot, man, I don't know how much I have left. None of us do, right? How do we want to spend it? So it's that sort of thinking, like, okay, does it really matter? Can it really matter now how I handle myself? What does it mean, right? You know, so, you know, sometimes it takes even a combination of things like that to help you refocus. I mean, tomorrow I might lose focus, and then it's, you know, I'm done, but I sure hope not, right? And the reason why I feel like I have a better chance than just this sort of fling of trying to get healthy is because it's been over 11 months where I knew that what I was going to do is quit alcohol and just be good to myself, right? What does be good to yourself mean? I don't know. It's, you know, try to remind myself day by day, you know, that yes, it's going to be a struggle. I'm going to be different. You know, there's going to be moments where I might have an inkling of a craving, or I might feel down and might feel compelled to get a drink. So day by day, week by week, month by month, you know, I focused on positive stuff, and so that's how I sort of took care of myself. And by doing that long enough, I find myself now almost a year, you know, I'm looking forward to hitting the year, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go right back to doing what I used to do, right? And I knew that if I focused on just not drinking, then I can help my mind be right so that I could start thinking about exercise. So I figured, no alcohol, heal myself, sort of my insides as well, you know, no longer feeding it alcohol. Then at some point, you know, do whatever the next step was to sort of promote better health, better lifestyle, make myself stronger. Oh, that's the other thing too. I was already, you know, several months in of not drinking, but my body was pretty beat up. I had back problems. You know, we went through spring break, came back from a spring break, and I moved like I was like 20 years older. I just, my mobility was super shot. super shot. So I needed, that was one of the compounding things, like how I can't function anymore not functioning. I need to have my mobility back. I need to be able to do regular stuff. And so, losing that independence rather, was pretty bad. So that helped also kind of made me think about, okay, once I can get, working with my chiropractor and doing some exercises, once I can get pretty baseline functional, then what I would do is start exercising. And that's when I went on that 35K trail run. And from there, nutritional shift up to this point, and a lot more exercise. Beep, 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 beep. Kettlebell work, TRX straps, ab exercises, core exercises, going back to hitting the heavy bag, boxing workouts, finding time to do all of that. And it's all positive. I feel great. I feel so good. And that's why you want to fry with animal fat, first of all. Okay, that's all I got. Take care. Go out and run something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.